The rise of the Slow Readers Club to the top has been a heartening affair. The Manchester-based group's introspective, melancholic pop has caught many people's hearts. I spoke to singer Aaron Starkie about what he's been listening to, watching and reading during the lockdown. Yes, it's John Robb here with the latest interview for Lockdown for Underground Shoes. And today's interview is with Aaron Starkie from Slow Readers Club. So, how is the lockdown treating you, Aaron?
It's okay. I mean, we've been trying to find new. From a band perspective, we've been trying to find new ways of doing stuff together. So we've essentially been recording different versions of our tracks from our new album mostly, and sharing those on social media, But I mean, I think everybody, when they see the video out there, they assume that we're all performing at the same time, but it's done in the conventional process of recording in a studio, like you each taking your turn, if you know what I mean. So David and Jim will lay down the drum and bass first most of the time. Git'll do his guitar, and then I'll do vocals, and I've done piano on one of them, but yeah, it's been cool, and those have been really great to stay connected with the fans and keep people entertained and all that kind of stuff, because we were supposed to be out on tour and everything. So, yeah, it's just a way of keeping in the loop, I suppose.
So how are you doing that? Are you sending the files backwards and forwards, working on something like Logic Pro at home? And
yeah, exactly. Yeah. We've got we just shoot the video on our phones, and then I think the guys have got, like, Kurt's got Reaper, I think, for his audio, and I'm not sure what Jim's setup is, but I don't think it's the same as well. But I've got Logic on mine, so I'll sort of pull all the audio together and mix the audio. And then my wife is in sort of TV, and anyway, she works at Salford Uni and does video stuff anyway, so it's good to have her on hand in the house, and she puts it all together basically, and then we stick it out online, and they've been going down really well. And we've done like Twitter listening parties and stuff like that with Tim Burgess and stuff, and did a United We Stream thing as well for Andy Burnham and Sasha Lord. That was pretty cool. And so yeah, we're just trying to keep busy and keep saying. But it's been great spending so much time with the kids as well, and getting out in the sunshine in the back garden and everything. Just hoping we can sort of stay afloat financially until we're back out on the road again. But
yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? If you're in a band or creative, the technology is amazing, but it's actually, you could do all this stuff, but you're actually sat there losing money.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
Have you got to the point now when you're actually doing this and you send the files backwards and forwards and you mix at home? And Logic Pro is amazing, isn't it? The quality.
Yeah.
Have you got to the point yet you're thinking, why did we ever go to studios?
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. Certainly for demoing purposes. I think on the last album we demoed in Bury at Edwin Street, and before we went to Parr Street in Liverpool. So I think possibly we might, and even with the writing process, we might sort of, we're forced at the moment to, when we're writing new material, depending on how long this goes on, we normally we jam to come up with something. I mean, the odd time I've come up with something at home, but by and large, like 99.9% of the time, we're jamming together to write. So it may be that we have to sort of go, it might be like, right, well, David, you kick us off this time and play a drum beat and we'll see what comes up, or I'll have a chord sequence on piano and a vocal melody and then send that around or whatever. But as yet we haven't come to that point. I think we'd all rather still be in a room together. So we'll see how long it lasts. But if it gets, in a month's time, if we're still in the situation, then we might have to just start writing like that, I guess.
Would you do like this, just... It's quite
there's too much latency, and you can't handle two bits of audio at the same time. We'd love to, unless there might be some software out there that does it. Somebody will make a killing when they do, if they do invent it, that's for sure. but at the moment we haven't found technology that can handle multiple sources of audio and stuff at the same time and without any lag. So
yeah, it's a weird side product of this period. For technology music, we've been forced to jump 10 years into the future. Not our choice, but suddenly we have to work in this way, which we probably would have been in 10 years' time.
Yeah. Well, that certainly in the creative industries. I mean, I used to be a designer as my day job, and there was a big push to for remote working, both here and in the US. And there was like a thing called InVision that allowed for that. It's like collaborative boards where people could share ideas, and you could post a version of work and multiple people could mark it up and all that kind of stuff. So I think that is there's precedent for it in other industries, and maybe they've moved further along with it. And I'm sure artists collaborate like this, which is something we might do as well as doing the lockdown videos that we've done. We might involve other musicians and things like that, which we haven't done before. So I think there are interesting things coming out of this period that wouldn't ordinarily have done. I think as well, like socially, I think that it'll be interesting to see, because we were sort of moving towards a sort of self-serving sort of right-wing populist sort of position, whether we'll all be a bit more caring about one another, and there'll be more scrutiny on people with extreme wealth and stuff like that. It certainly feels that way. It feels that way to me. I feel like because obviously, like, there was a government minister called out footballers, and Wayne Rooney quite rightly responded saying, "Well, let's shine that light on hedge fund managers and everything else as well." Like it does feel like, and all the celebrity culture and everything else. Like everything, the people that we value and hold up on a pedestal and everything else. Yeah, it's all that value system is being questioned at the minute, isn't it? So it's be an interesting time to see what comes out the other end.
Got embraced by everybody instead of a few people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So have you actually written any new songs at all in this period?
No, there's been bits of ideas, and I've got a 5-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son that are in the house all the time. So like, I personally, like, from writing from my perspective, I find pockets of time, and it's usually like that anyway. Bits of inspiration will come when they come. So like the other morning, for example, I stuck the kettle on and I went and sat down at the piano and just to fill the time, and then something came in that moment and I recorded it, and we tend to share little bits of ideas on WhatsApp groups. So it's very rare. I think there was a time on the Cavalcade album where we took some time off work and did a dedicated 2 days of writing. It was really productive, but by and large, it comes, or it'll come. You go into practice one day and nothing really happened. You go into practice another day and 5 or 6 ideas will come out. So it's one of those. But yeah, I've just been trying to find, while we're at home, little bits of time. I'll just find myself at the piano at a point, or pick up the guitar at a point, and that's how it's worked so far. But there's not a complete track come out. I think it's politically weird, that as well, because obviously then you sort of semi-writing solo in that scenario, whereas we normally write collaboratively, so it's better just to go start a little idea rather than doing trying to do the full thing. You know what I mean?
Do you find it's affecting you? I mean, it's very obviously only little ideas, but do they sound different? Are they more introspective, or?
Oh, I don't know. I think if anything, we've done a lot of sort of doom-laden apocalyptic stuff. Anyway, it's quite a weird one to suddenly be in that be a reality, So I don't know. They've been brighter, maybe. I think I certainly, in terms of a concert, like we'll talk about the sort of 5 things that get us through, but I gravitate to lighter stuff at the moment. Like I mean, whether it be music or TV or whatever, I'm like, I still watch serious stuff, I suppose, but yeah, I think I wouldn't listen to Murder Capital at the moment, for example. I would probably more likely listen to Spin or to The Big Moon or something like that. But that might pass. Once we're into sort of this feels like normality, then you'll probably listen to what you normally listen to, I suppose.
Yeah, which brings us to the culture that's getting you through the lockdown. Start with music. So obviously it hasn't settled down yet, but what things you found the last couple of weeks that you've been sort of gravitating towards?
Yeah, but like I say, it's the lighter stuff really. I think there's a few bands that have been sort of, there was Spin that supported us at the end of last year, who were really sort of nice, jangly sort of pop band. I don't know if they're from Liverpool, but they're signed to Modern Sky as well, our label. Young kids, like really like creative, like delicate instrumental stuff, like loads of room in the sort of arrangements and everything. I like their stuff. And then there's Lathams that have just been signed to Ireland. They're like sort of House Martins-y sort of vocally anyway, and like Smithsy guitar and that. They're really cool. And then there's Big Moon, who had a lot of play on six music and everything. Really like them. Really beautiful sort of stacked harmonies and everything else. They're cool. But I mean, I find Spotify useful for discovery for that kind of thing, because I'll get into one of those artists and then either listen to the radio off them or see related artists and stuff like that. And I used to listen to, when I was in work, more so than now. We'd all listen to sort of six music every day and everything. But Yeah, I mean, there's also the sort of trying to introduce my kids to stuff that I grew up with and loved as well, like Michael Jackson controversially and ABBA and the Beatles, all the big stuff. But it's my son liked drums and stuff as well, and my daughter's just started singing and everything. So it's great to be able to share that kind of stuff with them and see what resonates with them.
That's interesting.
Because obviously,
do you find you're sort of gravitating yourself sometimes back towards the music from the pre-virus days? The warm for the Beatles and the 60s is a place to escape to. Does that work? Yeah,
I think totally. I mean, I've always liked that kind of Bee Gees and ABBA and all that. Really sort of big melodic pop anyway. But yeah, it's a weird. I found myself looking through old photos as well, just because we were on my Google Drive and looking at in more detail at my childhood photos and everything. I think I've probably got an over nostalgic brain anyway. Half the time, I thought about music, lyrically, and sort of hankering back to that time and the sort of loss of innocence and childhood and a period where you have no responsibility and everything. But I think there's still room for the darker stuff as well, but I'm personally anyway listening to the lighter side of things at the minute.
Yeah, if you want dystopia, you just go for a walk in town.
Yeah, exactly, that's it. Yeah, seen some amazing photos from town actually, like just completely deserted. I envy the people that live in town in a way at the minute because seeing it completely deserted is mad. Right? Yeah, it's mad.
Yeah, little corners of it. You can go down Deansgate. There's no cars on it. But you go around the corner to Castfield, and there's loads of people sat around. So it's
right.
It's a weird combination. It's pockets of people, lots of weird entities.
Yeah, because there's still. I guess there's still people that are still having to work in the office, I suppose. But
flats, just trying to find somewhere to sit.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So is nostalgia got a different kind of edge to it now? Whereas once it would be sort of an interesting addition to life, but is it a place to escape to?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's. I mean, we're lucky in a way because we've got like people. I feel for people that are on their own and stuff at these kinds of times, but we have, like I say, the kids are up and around all the time, and so it's only like into the evening there where we get some time to chill out and that. Me and my missus, so. You find you're occupied, and the thing is with the band, we've still been pretty productive in this period, whether it's the lockdown videos or promoting the album on social media, because it was obviously it was released at the beginning of all of this. So I've kept fairly busy, but I've also enjoyed the sort of downtime as well. Like I've never really had a period in my life like before we went full time with the band. I was doing a 9-to-5 job, and then we were touring on top of that and everything else, and writing and recording. Whereas this feels probably the first time since I was a student, probably, where I've had a volume of time to sit down and just let your mind wander or whatever, if you can keep yourself off your phone,
So with the album, was it frustrating, or was it just a really bizarre thing? Because you virtually came out the week this all kicked off big style.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those, you sort of just had to accept the reality of it. I remember when the decision was made to pull the tour. And that's quite, we saw it coming a mile off it, obviously, because things were happening in Europe and everything else, and it was gutting. But it was like more broadly, you've got to go, well, we've got to keep ourselves safe, and everything else is bigger issues than an indie band from Manchester having an album out, I suppose. But it was great. I mean, on the one hand, it was bad, but on the other hand, it's sort of the album was going to come out immediately before we started touring, whereas now people have had time to live with it and digest it, and it's gone down great. And obviously, we had our first top 10, got number 9 in the album chart, so it was amazing. But I don't know whether there was, because we had a load of in-stores planned out for that week and gigs on the week of release, which we may have sold more records, but I think there was an element of people recognising that without us having the begging bowl out necessarily. But I think people recognised the changing situation and picked up on it, might have bought an extra copy or told the mates about us. So it's hard to know whether we benefited from it or not really. But
it's interesting.
We'd rather be touring, that's for sure. But we are where we are.
It's interesting you mention the way people listen to the records, because like you sat at home and you've got your musical journey you're on. But for the fans of the band, it's an intense musical journey with a band you really like, with an album that's come out. Maybe normally people listen 1 or 2 times, go back to a week later. But what kind of reaction you get? You get people just like listening to it over and over again because they haven't actually got anything else to do.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure, like every other band, we've got varying degrees of hardcore. We've got the hardcore fans that will listen to it again and again and again, and then there's some like there was a lad I was speaking to online today that's had listened to all four albums. It was his birthday and he listened to all 4 albums in the day and all that, and that's amazing. But there'll be other people that are more casual fans that are just, like the odd single and that's it, and maybe we'll give it 4 tracks and then move on. But I think people's musical habits, like listening habits these days, tend to be more that it's more transitory because it's so available and you can just go, oh, I've heard of them. People have mentioned them 4 or 5 times. I'll go and check them out, and you might check out 2 tracks. So it's a thing to try and stick with people, you know what I mean? I mean, obviously people are coming to shows and all that kind of thing. So, and we've got like a decent number of followers on Spotify and all that kind of thing, which is what the measuring stick that people have these days, I suppose. But I think it's good. I think I'd like to say people have had time to absorb it. People have been very complimentary about the music and the lyrics and all that, and it's good to be able to do, be 4 albums in and still find things to say that are, some of it probably rehearsing the same themes as I have before, maybe, or crystallised in some areas. But yeah, it's great. I mean, it's a privilege to be able to put music out in the world anyway, in it, and to have the idea that people are into it is great. So,
do you think the role of a musician has changed now we're in the lockdown?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I talked about the lockdown thing, the lockdown videos before. I've seen every, bands at every level of doing that kind of thing, and and it's been quite weird. The webcam or your iPhone camera is democratizing. It sort of makes them look like less like godlike, and they're sort of, they're sat in like environments like you and I are now, and they just seem more human. And I think that connection has been really good. I do like the fact that people have been, bands have been taking requests and all that kind of stuff, and they're doing it to. It's not. I don't think it's a cold commercial thing. I think they're just wanting to go bring some joy to people and feel as though they're getting something like the buzz that they had when they're performing live and all that kind of stuff. It's just a new way of that transaction between the artist and audience working, I suppose. Hopefully it'll go back to the way it was before, where we do shows and everything. But I think there will be an element of what people, the methods that people have adopted now, happening more in the future. I think people will stay with some of it until it's the point that it's fatigued and nobody wants to see a guy in his pajamas playing the guitar anymore.
I think there'll be a lot of live casting of gigs, a lot more access, like these kind of situations, or where maybe the hardcore fans get time speaking to people like this. Did you?
Yeah. It's mad. One of our fans asked me to sort of come and join a Zoom conversation for someone's birthday the other day, and I did. That was mad, because it's one of those where I've not seen that many people, and then suddenly I was in a situation where there's like 20 odd people in this Zoom call, and it's like, it's nice to see so many faces, So it's good for me. I mean, it's good for us as well, like that kind of thing. But we're all. I hadn't heard of Zoom before all this period. So yes, it's been interesting.
Yeah, I interviewed somebody yesterday, the author Ian Rankin, and I was the first person he's spoken to a scene, apart from his wife, for about 3 weeks.
Wow, crikey.
People are living in these kind of really weird hermetic existences now.
Yeah, it's mad. It's quite it's a challenge to not really irritate one another beyond belief. I think I'm definitely getting under my wife's skin at the minute. That's for sure.
So, other cultural things. Are you reading much?
Well, I've got a stack here actually, so I can. The last book I read was Bernard Sumner's Chapter and Verse, and that was on the last tour, which is a great book. There's some really interesting. I really found his childhood interesting, actually, like him growing up in Salford and his mum having cerebral palsy and all that kind of stuff, and the sort of challenges he faced with all that. And then later on, it was proper rock and roll, like, you know, going out partying and all that with what's his name now? John Marr.
Yeah,
I forgot his name for a minute. Yeah, like, you know, it was. I think when they were doing electronic, all that kind of period, and they were out in New York and all that kind of stuff, and now it was things were, you know, interviews weren't happening as they should because they were partying too much and all that kind of thing. I thought that was really interesting. But I don't really read a lot of music books. I mean, there's one, like a Lennon biography as well, that I read a while back, and I've got like Tim Burgess' book, and that's part of my pile of shame of stuff that I've not really got through. But when I was at uni, it was more like dystopian stuff. Everybody's read 1984, Steppenwolf and Unbearable Lightness of Being, sort of existential stuff. And this is the one I've got next, which I was really attracted to the cover, which is yeah. That's that looks. I mean, I started reading it. It's more of like an encyclopedic record of every pop record ever kind of thing, which is a bit. I don't know whether I'll get how I'll read that, whether I'll sort of do it in small chunks. But I'm hoping that that'll be a bit of a source of inspiration for subject matter and stuff like that as well. You know, like this, because sometimes that's a challenge when you're sort of writing a lot of personal stuff, or you're writing about the political environment. It's like maybe there's something else out there that, you know, are the starting points. Because I remember seeing an interview with the Bee Gees where Barry Gibb was like, he'd just come up with titles, and he'd write titles down and then write from that point, which I thought was mad, because I've never been able to do that. But yeah, so like there might be some stuff in there that I can learn from. But I mean, most of my reading is reading the news and, you know, and opinion pieces on obviously all the news is coronavirus at the moment, isn't it, as well? But
I found there's been two approaches to this. Some people get completely 24 hours a day in the news, just desperately trying to find some good news, or wallowing in the bad news even. Or some people just shut up completely, they just don't want to know anything. So yeah, which one are you leaning towards?
I've gone towards. I mean, I've always been a bit of a news junkie and politics junkie, but like a news night, question time, and all that kind of thing, and occasionally sort of BBC Parliament as well when I'm really boring. But at the moment, I'm probably hiding from it, because all it seems to be is a raising statistics. We are doing this, and people say, you know, there isn't a whole lot of scrutiny or criticism about the number of ventilators and how Germany are doing versus us, or South Korea, or, I mean, there's so many variables involved in it and all that. But I just, for the most part, I'll maybe watch the 5 o'clock briefing, but not religiously. It's probably not healthy just to sort of obsess over it, is it? So
you can Google good news to make yourself feel better.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we've ever really shared much good news, but good news doesn't really get many clicks, does it, or sell many papers? But
well, if you Google New Zealand virus, that'll make you feel better.
Oh yeah, I saw something the other day actually that the countries with female heads of state have done miles better than the males. I can well believe it.
Yeah, empathy versus ego. It's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and also I think there's a tendency in men to go, "I'll be fine." Or the sort of bravado or mass spirit will or
there's a tendency to think the virus is picking on them personally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's Trump all over though, isn't it? Like it is sort of his early response to it was just disgraceful, really.
Bolsonaro's still there, still denying it.
Yeah, crazy.
There's a song in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So, is there any go-to websites that you?
Yeah, I mean, another thing that I have, another area of interest is because I was a designer recently until about a year and a half ago, full time. And there's one called Fubiz.net, which is French, I think. But it's art and design and photography and architecture and all that kind of stuff. It's a bit like a Colossal is another one. But I use Pinterest in the same way as that kind of thing, and you know, like I find just looking at beautiful architecture or photography or whatever just inspiring, or illustration or design. I just find it that's a nice little place, road for your mind to go down without being, I'm not an architect and I'm not an illustrator, but I still find it, really interesting.
Do you construct your songs like a piece of architecture? Because I always think that Radiohead construct their music like pieces of like buildings in a way, or is that just?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's you can I'm sure you can break it down. I think producers probably think, and people that are very studious with musical theory and everything will go, oh, it needs to, the next chord arrangement ought to be this, but it's a lot more natural and organic the way we do it anyway. Like it'll be, David will have a drum beat, for example, and the intonation of his beat will bring something out of me in terms of the intonation of the vocal melody. And initially I'll just have a melody, and then the sort of lyrics will form on top of that once I've found the mood of it or whatever. I mean, this period, there's been some times where they've sort of fallen out as complete things, but a lot of the time it's sort of, you're building it bit by bit. Usually we have a great verse, and then they struggle for a while to get a chorus and things like that. But yeah, it's not mathematical or anything like that. It's nothing too dry. But yeah, I think that from a design perspective, like thematically and things, like you can be influenced by art and design and things. I think, but it's probably more. It's more like the lyrical subject matter is probably more from the books and stuff like that. Really, sort of the existential angst of my youth still comes through from even all these years later.
So what about TV? Are you doing a lot of TV, doing box sets? Or?
Yeah, we did. I mean, we're like the Netflix addicts like everybody else. I saw the other day that Disney Plus have got 90 million subscribers straight away, which is tells you something about these times. I think the people like that, organisations like that, were really benefiting, weren't they? Although the process of making new content is challenged because everything's been shut down. It's obviously a big bank of stuff that's already been out there. Better Call Saul is one that I've been watching a lot recently, which is a sequel to Breaking Bad, which everybody knows about. But I think both of those are amazing, like the character development and the cinematography and the sort of symbolism in it and all and everything. It's all sort of, reasonably intelligent stuff while still having action in it and everything else. And I mean, it's a bit of a slow burner, Better Call Saul, but it's really sort of paying off now, where it's got to now. Ozark is another one, and then like Tiger King is like the meme generator of the moment, isn't it? Like, so I don't know if you've seen that, but that's,
yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit, you feel a little bit exploited watching that. It's almost like watching Benefit Street or whatever. There was a period in British TV recently where they were like demonisation of people on benefits, and it feels a little bit voyeuristic and like we're laughing at sort of hillbillies basically, which I find a bit problematic, but still it's addictive TV, it's so bizarre and extreme, like without giving stuff away, but this gun-toting polygamists and tigers and murder plots and all sorts of stuff going on. It's mad. But yeah, and then my kids are into sort of Disney stuff and all that kind of thing. But yeah, that's what I've been watching.
Okay, I think that concludes the stuff that.
Cool.
Yeah, that's
right.
Great. Yeah.
Right, that's
so what you got to do for the day?
Well, we've just got a treadmill in the house. My wife wore me down because I was like, "Oh, we can just go out for a run, or we can go cycling, or whatever." But she was adamant that we needed a treadmill, so we've just assembled that. I might have a run on that in a bit. But yeah, nothing else. Might have a tinkle on the piano. But what about yourself? Have you got any other interviews today lined up? Or
I'm going to do Edward Collins later.
Oh wow, cool. I'm in very very esteemed company. I'm thanks for having me involved in it.
Oh no, everyone's good, aren't they? Whether it's big bands, you just interview people got something interesting to say in it. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Cheers, man.
There's never a league table, is there? Yeah. So then I'll go out for a run after that.
Oh, cool, man.
I found the little deserted corners. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I think that's the thing with running around here is like you do find that these people, somebody will be beside you before you know it, and it feels a little bit more. I hate dangerous.
That. Yeah. I'm a zigzag wanderer. I go right out in the middle of the road to avoid people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Ace. Well, thanks for that. Thanks.
Nice one, John. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate.
I'll hear from you soon somewhere.